Welcome to the Expired Show. Today we are continuing our discussions on serial killers, and I'm Bella Bellagio.
I'm Lizzie Smalls.
And I'm Dade Abayo. Welcome to the program.
And today we're going to be starting with Lizzie, because Lizzie has
Yay.
some interesting stuff y'all want to hear about.
Well, but the person I have is Israel Keyes. So he's a very interesting character, to say the least. Keyes grew up in a very isolated white supremacist anti-government religious group in Utah and later Washington State. He was homeschooled and kept entirely away from normal society. His family was neighbors with the Chevy Cahill family, which was another notorious domestic terrorist.
Oh, great.
Oh,
I know, right?
that's not a good combination.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, definitely not.
So, he grew up seeing the rest of the world as others or outsiders. He had early training in radicalization and isolation, so it made it very easy for him to devalue human life. He didn't see people, he saw them as targets. Keyes claimed that he didn't just wake up one day and decide to be a serial killer. He told the FBI that he had been hunting his whole life. Like many serial killers, he started with animals. He spent his youth
Oh,
in the woods of Washington learning how to trap, and kill animals without
and this
leaving
is
a trace.
Washington State, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes,
This
they
is
start with
Washington?
animals.
yes,
Washington State, not Washington D.C.
Oh, right.
yeah, Washington State. But don't you see they always seem to like start out with animals? I don't get that whole thing, but
Yeah, it's I don't know why, but it's very disturbing.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they're testing to see how what methods works best for them for killing.
mm,
Like if it's like stabbing or strangling or torturing or I don't know. I think they use the animals as guinea pigs before they get to the humans, or they're just really, really, really sick and twisted and just want to torture animals and humans just
Yeah,
the
definitely.
same.
well, he told investigators that after a while, animals weren't enough of a challenge. He began stalking people just to see if he could. He would follow strangers for hours, practicing for the day he would actually strike. He described the urge to kill like drugs.
Oh,
He
that's really
said
tough.
he would live his life normal for months, but then the pressure would build up in his head. Now, another thing about him is he served in the U.S. Army from 1998 to 2001. While he was a capable soldier, he later told investigators that the Army gave him the discipline and the tactical knowledge he needed to stay under the radar. He became a militant atheist during this time. He rejected the racist views of his childhood, but replaced them with nihilistic philosophy. He believed there was no God, no heaven or hell, and therefore no reason not to do whatever gave him pleasure.
Well, he was obviously not
2000,
religious then.
We said
2001,
there is no God and no hell.
no God, no hell. Mm-mm.
So he never felt remorse, guilty for the things he did.
No. So he could do whatever he
He
wanted
wanted.
because it gave him pleasure. Yeah. There was no consequence. Yeah. In 2001 to 2002, before he got married, Keyes had a long term girlfriend with whom he had a daughter in late 2001. But in 2004, he married a woman from Oregon. The wedding took place in a church in Oregon. He had known the woman for several years. They lived together in Nahi Bay, Washington, where Keyes worked as a handyman for the Makah tribe. During this marriage, he was viewed as a hardworking family man. His wife worked for the local tribal council. To their friends and neighbors, they were standard blue collar couple. People
Mm.
saw a devoted father and a reliable businessman. He was a girl dad who attended parent teacher conferences and was well liked in the community in Anchorage, Alaska. During the marriage, he was already burying his kids. They eventually separated
He was
and
very what?
divorced. Burying kits. He had unaliving kits. Yes, so he had been burying them all over the place.
And Unaliving kits?
Yeah, like
Like,
buckets of stuff to unalive people.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So his wife and him eventually separated and divorced in 2006. In 2007, after the divorce was finalized, he's moved to Anchorage, Alaska with a new girlfriend. He continued to be the girl dad, splitting time between Alaska and visiting his daughter in the lower 48 states.
You say 2004?
Yep.
So this
No,
is pretty recent.
2007.
Oh,
Yeah,
2007.
yeah.
Wow.
So they say Keyes was a master of compartmentalization. He would work a 12-hour day fixing someone's deck, go home to have dinner with his daughter, and then fly across the country to commit a murder, returning before his family even realized he was gone. He often used his daughter and his girlfriend as camouflage. He would take them on family vacations to different states. While they were sleeping in the hotel or visiting local attractions, Keyes would slip away to scout locations for these unaliving kids. Or to commit the crime, he would bury more unaliving kits, which were buckets filled with guns, silencers, zip ties, and chemicals to dissolve bodies.
Wow.
Say what?
He took, yeah, he was an interesting fella.
Jeez.
Uh,
He took immense pride in these unaliving kits and his ability to outsmart the FBI. For Keyes, the why was the ultimate ego trip. He wanted to prove he was the smartest person in any room. The most chilling part of his story is that years before he intended to kill, Keyes would travel to remote locations across the U.S. and bury these kits filled with the guns, the silencers, zip ties, and chemicals to
wow.
dissolve
So
bodies.
this is really premeditated.
Oh, what a
Yeah.
sicko.
He never killed near his home. He would fly to a different state, rent a car, driving hundreds of miles, and use one of his pre buried kits. This made it impossible for the FBI to link his crimes because there was no geographical pattern. Unlike Little, who I talked about last week, who targeted a specific group, Keyes had no type. He told investigators, I didn't have a type. I just looked for someone who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. In 2009,
And how old were
Keyes
these?
attempted,
How old were these
huh?
kids that he was doing?
It doesn't really say how old they were.
Huh.
I'll have to look into it and then I'll get back to you.
Man, it's very disturbing.
In 2009, Keyes attempted to
Yeah,
abduct a
because at the end
woman
of the
in a
day, they're
remote
kids.
area.
What, Dante?
I said because at the end of the day, they're kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter how old they were. I mean, this
Yeah, but now he's did a woman, so that means it's someone over 18, 18 or
Oh,
over.
wow. He's a uh, inequality serial killer then.
I guess so.
You mean equal opportunity serial killer?
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard someone say that before, but okay.
So
So,
the woman,
the woman, sorry, go on with the woman.
so the woman in 2009 fought back and managed to get away because Keyes was so meticulous about not leaving DNA and using a borrowed vehicle or stolen plates. The
Mm.
police never had any leads. For
Yeah.
years, this remained an unsolved assault. It highlights that even perfect killers have moments of failure, but the system often lacks the tools to connect a random assault in one state to a missing person in another. He was
Uh,
finally caught in March of 2012. Keyes finally got sloppy after kidnapping and killing an 18-year-old Samantha Koenig in Alaska. He took her debit card and used it at ATMs across the Southwest. He also made a ransom photo of Samantha weeks after she was already gone. He had sewed her eyes open, applied makeup to her face, and held up a newspaper to make her look alive so he could demand ransom money from her family.
excuse me, I'm gonna vomit.
Yeah.
Oh,
So this showed he had zero empathy for the families. He viewed the victims as puppets for his own financial and psychological gain.
Mm,
The FBI tracked the ATM withdrawals and caught him during a traffic stop in Texas. When they searched his car, they found the tools of his predator mask, maps, disguises, and the victim's ID. Much like
ah,
Little, Keyes played games with the FBI. He would only give them information in exchange for special favors, like cigars or Americano coffee. He confessed to 11 murders, but hinted at many more. One of the primary reasons Israel Keyes he offed himself in his jail cell was believed to be because of his daughter. During his
uh-huh.
interrogations with the FBI, he was obsessed with keeping his name out of the media. He also didn't want his daughter to grow up knowing that her father was a monster. He told investigators that he wanted to protect her from the truth of what he was. When he
oh.
realized the details of his crimes were inevitably going to go public and that he would never see her again, he ended his own life in a jail cell in December of 2012.
But he
He
gave
left
himself a
behind,
hangman.
yeah, pretty much. He left behind a note written in verse that described his darkness, but gave no further names of his victims. In this note he left, he wrote a poem that gives a tiny glimpse into his mind. Your face is a frame for a beautiful ghost. I'm the collector of your secrets. He viewed himself as a collector of lives. There was no remorse, only a prideful satisfaction in the work he did. For the man who believed he was God, he proved he was just another monster hiding in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there seems to be a pattern with serial killers. They hide in they can hide in the public eye without anyone suspecting anything, but then behind the scenes, all the nefarious stuff happens.
What was the how many do they believe that he killed?
Let me, I have to find it again. You know, when I look for it, I can't find it. You know
Was
what?
it?
What stumps me too
Uh,
is how they can play the part so well with their families
Yeah.
yes, and
that their
without
families
families even
don't.
suspecting.
Hmm.
Right. Yep.
Also, these people
That's really freaky.
when they do it, they've got no conscience because they have their
Clearly.
families, but they have this. this dark secret, and I
Maybe they have
mean,
a double life.
hmm,
They have a life killing people, and then they have a life being of, family man, a dad, a husband,
Right.
uh, employee, coworker. You
hmm,
know,
Right.
they tend to be charismatic, and that's
Yes.
why a lot of people don't think there's anything wrong with them or
Right.
suspect
hmm,
them because they tend to be Of course, there are some that are loners, but there are a lot of them that are very charismatic, like Ted Bundy,
yeah,
Mhm.
and a few other ones that people just thought, oh, this looks like a
Ted
nice
Bundy,
guy. I
Charles
can trust
Manson.
him. Yeah.
So he confessed to 11 murders, but hinted at many more.
Wow. Yeah, he probably did many more.
Hmm, yeah, definitely.
I
And
bet.
no telling how many more kids are out there.
Ooh, that would be creepy if you're like out in the woods camping or
That's a
something,
horror.
and then you come across one of his like unaliving kits.
Mhm.
Ooh, yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, and for him to remember all the places where he buried them.
Because he wasn't specific how many he actually buried.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
and to remember the exact spot because he did it away from where he lived in other states.
Yes.
He didn't do it around where
Mhm.
he lived. So to remember the exact spots of each one. I mean, I'm wondering he had if he drew maps or marked it on like a map, like X marks a spot on like a map of the United States.
Right. Well, one
Is
of
there
the
any?
creepiest things that the first woman that he married
Mm-hmm.
from 2001, he actually had some kits near the church that he had buried.
Oh, oh
Mhm.
man. Oh,
Are there any details
Mm.
whether they've managed to find the bodies of the kids or not,
No.
or are they still out there?
They're probably still out there.
Yeah, now
wow.
Apparently,
now
he
they're
didn't
never
get
going to
enough
find out where
favors
they
from the.
are because he's
Right.
no longer with us.
Mhm.
That's messed up.
Absolutely.
Those poor children and poor adults, poor
Yeah.
people, just all of them. No one deserves to pass away that way.
Mhm.
Very disturbing. Wow. And
Mm-hmm.
what was his name again? So I know never
Is
to get in a car with anyone that has the same name.
Israel Key.
Israel Keys.
Mhm.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's okay. Oof. Well, he's no longer with us, so hopefully there's
Yes.
little Israel Keys Juniors running around committing the same
Yeah, I was
crimes.
about to say,
He
as long
just
as
had that one daughter.
his kids don't end up being copycats.
Mhm.
Hmm. No, I think most children, from the ones I've seen that have been interviewed, the children of murderers and stuff, they tend to be very embarrassed by it and want to be nothing like their parents,
Mhm.
and they tend to come out like good people, where they know that what their father did or their mother did was wrong, and they want no part of it,
But look
and
how
that's
many of
pretty
those
sad.
kids though are labeled because of the parent, and they have
Yeah,
nothing to do with it.
it's not their fault. Yeah, they have nothing.
Right.
It's awful. Yeah, because who was it that there was? I saw the interview of the daughter of a very notorious serial killer here in the United States, and she was like in her late 20s, early 30s when they were interviewing her. This is probably about between 5 to 10 years ago. I saw this,
Mhm.
and she said that like growing up, everyone would make fun of her in school and say that she was, the daughter of the such and such guy who was a serial killer, and
Mhm.
basically made her life very difficult, and she had nothing to do with it.
Right.
She was a little baby when he was going around committing those crimes, and she had no part of any of those crimes. But yet she
Mhm.
was labeled by people automatically. People didn't want to be around her because of it.
Right.
So that's pretty sad. But
No,
then
that's the
she
way
got
society
married,
is
and
nowadays.
now she's married and has her own family.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I can't remember the name of her father though. I wish I remember the name of her father, but he killed children. I believe it was teenage girls.
Right.
But I wish I could remember the name. I just don't remember the name right now. I just remember I felt bad for her because I was like, oh wow, that must be horrible to live like that. And it's not. She didn't do anything. She had nothing to do with it.
Right.
But then people hear her, name. I guess now she's married. She has a different last name.
Mm,
So people don't know that she's a daughter, but when she was in school, everyone knew when she was little,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty messed up. Mm. But
Absolutely.
okay, now Dante, who do you have for us? I think I know
well,
who, but
hmm I have a very prolific uh, serial killer who was also a doctor.
Ooh.
I am, of course, talking about uh,
wait, you
Dr.
said
Harold
Doc.
Frederick Ship. Now,
I thought
Dr.
I thought his last name was Shipman.
Yes, it is Ship.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear the man part. I just heard ship.
So, he's a very well known serial killer in England. He was born on the 14th of January 1946 on the Bestwood Estate, which is a council estate in Nottingham, somewhere I know quite well. And he was the second of three children. His father, also named Harold Shipman, was a lorry driver, and his mother was called Vera. They were working
Okay,
class
let's
parents.
translate that for people in the United States and other countries. A lorry driver is a truck driver,
Oh,
right?
yes, 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 truck driver. His working class parents were devout Methodists. Now, Shipman was particularly close to his mother, who died of lung cancer when he was 17. Her death
Uh,
came in a manner similar to what later became Harold Shipman's own MO. In later stages of her disease, she had morphine administered at home by a doctor. Shipman witnessed his mother's pain subside despite her terminal condition until her death on the 21st of June 1963. Now, on the 5th of November, Shipman married a woman by the name of Primrose May Oxton.
5th of November,
And
what year?
5th of November 1966,
1962 or 1963?
1966.
1966. Oh,
Mm.
okay.
The couple had four children, and Shipman studied medicine at Leeds School of Medicine at the University of Leeds, which graduated in 1970. Now, Shipman began working at Pontefract General Infirmary in Pontefract, West Riding of Yorkshire, and in 1974 took his first position as a GP, a general practitioner, at the Abraham Medical Centre in Todmorden. Now, the following year, Shipman was caught forging prescriptions for pethidine for his own use. He was fined £600, which is equivalent to 4,660 pounds in 1925, and briefly attended a drug
You mean
rehabilitation clinic
2025?
in York. Hmm?
You mean 2025?
Yes, 2025. Yeah.
Okay, because you said 1925. I was like, he wasn't even alive in 1925. You're confusing me over here.
He worked as a GP at Donnybrook Medical Centre in Hyde, Greater Manchester in 1977. Now, Shipman continued working as a GP in Hyde throughout the 1980s and established his own surgery at 21 Market Street in 1993, becoming a respected member of the community. Now, in March 1998, Linda Reynolds, a general practitioner in the Brook Surgery in Hyde, expressed concerns to John Pollard, the coroner of South Manchester District, about the high death rate among Shipman's patients. In particular, she was concerned about a large number of crematorium forms for elderly women that he had asked to have countersigned. Now, the Greater Manchester Police were unable to find sufficient evidence to bring charges and close the investigation on the 17th of April, same year. Shipman inquiry later blamed the GMP for assigning inexperienced officers to the case. After the investigation was closed, Shipman killed 3 more people.
Well, okay, well, he's unaliving, but
Oh, yeah.
he's unaliving because these are people that are terminal, they're in lots of pain.
Oh,
They're
yeah, there's a gray area there. There's a lot of the family members that found out about their loved ones that were actually going to him and dying pretty much days afterwards. They were getting angry because they weren't, they didn't feel that honouring their request was satisfactory.
Was he only unaliving women?
No, he was unaliving men as well.
Okay.
Yep. So the families were, you know, very cautious and hesitant about sending their loved ones to help Shipman, knowing for the fact that these people were dying days afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a few months later, in August, taxi driver John Shaw told the police that he suspected Shipman of unaliving 21 patients. Shaw became suspicious of many of the elderly customers he took to the hospital, while seemingly in good health, died in Shipman's care. Now, Shipman's last victim was Kathleen Grundy, the former mayoress of Hyde, who was found dead at home on the 24th of June 1998. He was the last person to see her alive. He later signed her death certificate, recording the cause of death as old age. Grundy's daughter, solicitor Angela Woodruff, became concerned when fellow solicitor Brian Burgess informed her that a will had been made, apparently by her mother, with doubt about its authenticity. The will excluded Woodruff and her children, but left 386,000. Now that's equivalent to 749,240 in today's standards, to Harold Shipman. The Burgess urges Woodruff went to the police, who began an investigation. Grundy's body was exhumed and found to contain traces of diamorphine, or commonly known as a street drug called heroin, often used for pain
It's
control was
called
terminally
what?
heroin,
Oh, heroin. Oh,
often used as pain control for terminally cancer patients. Now, Shipman claimed that Grundy had been an addict and showed them comment he had written to that effect on his computerized medical journal. However, the police examination of his computer showed that the entries were written after her death. Shipman was arrested on the 7th of September 1998 and was found to own a Brother typewriter of the type used. Brother is a make typewriter
yes, a brand. Yes.
of the type used to make the forged will. Now, Prescription of Murder, a 2000 book that was written by journalists Brian Whittle and Gene Ritchie, suggested that Shipman forged the will either because he felt his wife was out of control and wanted to be caught, or because he planned to retire at 55 and leave the United Kingdom. Police investigated other deaths that Shipman had certified and investigated 15 specimen cases. They discovered a pattern in its administration of lethal doses of diamorphine, signing patients' death certificates, and then falsifying medical records to indicate that they had been in poor health. Now, in addition to this, an abnormally large number of deaths occurred around the same time of day when Shipman was on his afternoon visit and in the doctor's presence. Now, in 2003, after Shipman had been convicted, they started a statistical monitoring that could have led to an alarm being raised at the end of 1996. Although not before, when there had already been 67 excessive deaths of Shipman's female patients over the age of 65 before reaching 119 in
Oh,
1998 when suspicions were first actually raised. Now, Shipman's trial began in Preston Crown Court on 5th of October 1999. He was charged with the murder of the unalivement of 15 women by lethal injections of diamorphine between 1995 and 1998. And his victims were Marie West, who was the age of 81, Irene Turner, who was 67, Lizzie Adams, 77, Jean Lilly, who was 59, Ivy Loomis, who was 63, Muriel Grimshaw, who was 76, Marie Quinn, who was 67, Kathleen Wagstaff, who was 81, Bianca Pumphrey, who was 49, Nora Nuttall, who was 65, Pamela Hiller, who was 68, Maureen Ward, who was 57, Winifred Meller was 73, Joan Miller was 73, and Catherine Grundy was 81. Now, Shipman's legal representatives tried unsuccessfully to have the Grundy case tried separately, as a motive was shown by the alleged forgery of Grundy's will. On the 31st of January 2000, after 6 days of deliberation, the jury found Shipman guilty of 15 counts of murder of unalivement and 1 count forgery. Mr. Justice Forbes subsequently sentenced Shipman to life imprisonment on all 15 counts of unalivement, with the recommendation that he be subject to a whole life tariff to be served concurrently with a sentence of 4 years for forging Grundy's will. On the 11th of February, 11 days after his conviction, Shipman was struck off of the medical register by the General Medical Council. 2 years later, Home Secretary David Plunkett confirmed the judge's whole life tariff just months before the British government ministers lost their power to set minimum terms for prisoners. While authorities could have brought many other additional charges, they concluded that a fair hearing would be impossible given the enormous publicity surrounding the original trial. Furthermore, the 15 life sentences already imposed rendered further litigation unnecessary. Shipman became friends with a fellow serial killer, Peter Moore, while he was in prison.
Wonderful.
Shipman denied his guilt.
What's the saying go? How's it? Birds of a feather flock together.
So Shipman denied his guilt, disputing the scientific evidence that was against him. He never made any public statements about his actions. Shipman's wife, Primrose, maintained that he was not guilty even after his conviction. Shipman was the only doctor in the history of British medicine to be found guilty of unaliving his patient. John Bodkin Adams was charged in 1959 for unaliving patients, amid rumours he had killed dozens more over a 10-year period, and possibly provided the role model for Shipman. He was acquitted and no further charges were pursued. Now, Shipman gave himself the hangman in his cell at Her Majesty's Prison, Wakefield, on the 13th of January 2004, the day before his 58th birthday.
He killed himself? Unalived himself?
Yes, he did.
No, he was still young.
Some of the victims' families felt that they were cheated, as Shipman's suicide meant that they would never get the satisfaction of a confession, nor answers as to why he committed the crime. Home Secretary David Plunkett admitted that the celebration was tempting. You wake up and you receive a phone call. Shipman tops himself. You have to think for a minute. Is it too early to open a bottle? And then you discover that everybody's very upset that he's done it. Now, Shipman's death divided national papers with the Daily Mirror branding him a cold coward and condemning the prison service for allowing his suicide to occur. However, the Sun ran a celebratory front page headline, "Chip Chip Hooray, he's gone." The Independent called the inquiry into Shipman's suicide to look more widely into the state of UK prisons as well as the welfare of inmates. In The Guardian, an article by General Sir David Ramsden, who formerly served at Her Majesty's Chief Inspector of Prisons, suggested that a whole life sentencing to be replaced with indefinite sentencing.
So what he is accused of unaliving more than 200. What's the exact number that they have for more than 200 people?
He was considered one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history, with the estimated 250 victims over roughly 30 years.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah,
Uh,
long time.
but I think that he was taking a lot of people out of their pain and misery, like Dr. Kevorkian was. I don't think Dr.
Mm.
Kevorkian should have been sent to prison, but because I know living with pain is horrible, and if there's nothing that can help my pain, I don't want to spend the rest of my life suffering.
Oh
So,
yeah, that is a grey area. I mean, no court or supreme justice ever passed a
But
well,
it
now
kind
they
of
have
crossed the line. If you think about it, making that will, put it in his
will,
name.
yeah,
That
euthanasia. That's they've never
euthanasia, yeah.
passed it. So yeah, I mean, was what he did um, statutory, or was he was he wrong with what he did? That's what the grey area is around it, because society frowns on that kind of thing. But I mean, like you say, you've got to think of the victims. And apparently, the family think that the victims were healthy, so they wouldn't understand why they decided to go to Chipman to be euthanized. But I mean,
Oh,
that's that's entirely the point of the victim, the patient, because obviously they were in a lot of pain that probably they weren't broadcasting to their family members. So I mean, it was the only the only way out that they saw, and they were, you know, desperate to find somebody that was going to be able to help them do that, even though it is still illegal
yeah.
in the county
Well,
court and the Supreme Justice.
well, they have a death pod. I know, like I think it's in Switzerland. I'm not quite
Yes, I heard
sure
about that. Yeah.
what. Um, don't quote me on that, but it's in Europe, and I believe it's Switzerland, but I could be wrong on that. And I've actually seen the photos of it too. And it's like this really modern looking pod. Like it opens up.
mm,
It's like a glass top around it. You sit inside of it. You close the glass, and then you slowly pass away inside of it. And then someone comes and gets your dead body when you're dead and takes it away.
What is it
Now,
by asphyxiation? As soon as you're locked in that pod, that's it. You've got
yeah,
no
once you're,
oxygen in there, so that's a
but I'm
that's a
not
pretty
sure if it's
horrible day
by
to die.
asphyxiation. I know that there's um some kind of chemical that's emitted in it. I
Oh right.
believe that's making the people like basically fall asleep and die, so they're not suffering.
Mm,
And they don't know who is the person that's running this thing,
mm,
but it's in the middle of the woods, so it's not in a place that's easy to find. So it's really for people that are really, really determined to end their lives, and they're not sure who made the device either,
mm,
but they have some suspicions, and they think that it's someone that's making it from home and monitoring. Apparently, there's a camera inside the device that they think that there's someone monitoring, watching when someone gets inside of it. And once they're gone, once they unalive themselves, then they go in and retrieve the bodies.
but
I'm not
here's
sure where the bodies go, if they bury them
mm,
somewhere, or what do they if they throw them in a an ocean or a river, or they haven't said
but the
that.
families wanting their loved one.
Yeah. So that's just something I read about some years ago, like during COVID. And I was like, oh wow. And I'm like, that's interesting. So I'd have to look it up again and like get more details on it, maybe for another episode we can talk about that.
Hmm.
But I found that pretty intriguing because it's like, yeah, I think my personal belief is if someone has serious medical issues and they're suffering and they don't want to continue living like that, they should be allowed to euthanize themselves.
Mm.
And,
I
and
mean, we put pets down when they're towards the end of life. So I mean, loads of people are saying, well, why can't we put humans medically their misery in the same way?
well, here I know
So,
in some of the states they now have laws that where if you have a terminal condition, that you can choose to euthanize yourself. I know that in Washington D.C. you can,
hmm,
and in some other states. I know also you can in Mexico and most of the European countries. It's allowed, and so there's actually a lot of places where it's allowed. It's not just Switzerland anymore, where people used to go to
hmm.
Switzerland to do that. Now it's like
Now,
countries all over the world are allowing it.
mm,
And
now
and
here's
the
where
US
the
does
twist.
allow. I don't know exactly how many states in the US allow it, but there's a bunch of states in the US that allow it. But you
Yeah.
have to be but the condition in the US is that you have to have a terminal condition. So it's
So,
like if you have a condition and you're extreme pain and suffering, but it's not terminal, then I guess you just live your rest of your life suffering and in pain until you eventually just pass away.
mm, so here's where the twist in the tale comes. Now, Shipman's motive for the suicide was never established, although he reportedly told his probation officer that he was considering suicide to assure his wife's financial security after he was stripped of his National Health Service pension. Primrose received a full NHS pension that she would not have been entitled to if Shipman had lived past the age of 60. Now, was that the reason why he did it? But
Oh, why he unalived himself?
yes, but here's
Yeah,
where
for
there's
so
a
his
bit more
wife
to the
could get the
story.
money.
Now, additionally, there was evidence that Primrose, who had consistently
Primrose is his
protested,
wife, right?
yes, Primrose is his wife, that's right, who had consistently protested Shipman's innocence despite the overwhelming evidence, had begun to suspect his guilt. Shipman refused to take part in courses that would have encouraged acknowledgement of his crimes, leading to a temporal removal of privileges, including the right to telephone his wife. But during this period, according to Shipman's cellmate, he received a letter from Primrose exhorting him to tell everything no matter what.
Oh,
A 2005 inquiry found that Shipman's suicide could not have been predicted or prevented, but the procedures should nonetheless be re examined.
Oh yes, we have a comment here, which is true that there is the option that you can choose in hospitals that do not resuscitate if you're near death. I actually have that option clicked on mine. Do not resuscitate.
mm-hmm.
Ah, right.
So I don't know if it's like that in the UK, but here in the US,
Mm.
they have
Yes,
that where
yes.
you fill out
You
the
can
form.
choose
It's like,
do not resuscitate, but you can't euthanize yourself.
yeah. So yeah, so that's another thing that if you are about to die, you can choose not to be resuscitated and just let them let you
Hmm.
die.
Hmm. Yep. If you do slip into you know
Thank you so much, Lee, for that.
die and paramedics turn up, they see that you have like a do not resuscitate bracelet or any kind of notice, they won't do it, no
Yeah.
matter what family actually says.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what the family says or what anyone else says. It's if
if they find it, the do not resuscitate on their person. Some people have actually had it tattooed. Did you know that?
oh really
No.
no.
Some people have actually had it tattooed on their body.
Oh, I'm not gonna tattoo it on my body. It's already on my medical forms.
No,
Mm.
it's like,
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna tattoo that on me. Well, just because I'm not a tattoo person, but
get the
um
pedals, and then suddenly they're just like open the shirt, and on the chest says "Do not resuscitate." And it's like, put the pedals away.
I never thought of that. But yeah,
I-
it's true what Lee's saying. Thank you, Lee. That
Hmm.
yes, there are a lot of people that don't want to go on suffering,
mhm.
and sometimes you think that's the only way out,
Yeah.
and I mean it is. It's
I
like
mean, do
it,
you think that they should pass the law that, you know, if you're genuinely in pain and you're coming to the end of your life, you should be allowed to take either take your life or die in a humane way. What do
I
you think?
think I think we should all be allowed to choose if we want to euthanize ourselves, if we're in, not just for people that want to just commit suicide just for suicide, but for
Hmm.
people that are actually really suffering.
No, I mean, yeah, generally people that are, suffering, they're suffering from cancer or anything like that, or it's terminal, they're gonna die of it, and very painfully,
Well,
and
well,
they
that
want to.
that in the United States now, and there's a lot of states where that euthanizing for that is legal. You can choose to do that. But what I'm talking about is people that have there are lots of medical conditions where they're they they're not necessarily terminal, meaning you could pass away young. It could shorten your lifespan. I mean, you're not going to live as long as you would have without the medical condition, but you could still end up living a long life, suffering every single day. And who wants to live like that?
Mm,
Right.
That's
right, yeah,
what I say, just because I know what it's like to be in pain every day, and they can't give me anything, any painkillers or anything for the pain because of my heart conditions. So it's not fun. It's like some days you're just in so much pain that you just want it to be done. So I can imagine other people who are much older than me or have conditions worse than mine, how awful they must be feeling.
yeah, yeah,
Right. Right.
And I guess it's, like I say, you have to walk in someone else's shoes to really understand how they're feeling or what they're going through.
Mhm.
Because it's easy to say, like, oh no, don't give up on yourself. Don't. Well, yeah, but you're not the one that's suffering in pain every day, 24 hours a day.
mm.
Right. Exactly.
Well,
So,
I know for a fact if my mother died of leukemia, so, and she was in a lot of pain before she passed. So basically, if I mean they do say that sort of hereditary. So basically, if I was gonna be dying of cancer, I'd want to be put out of my misery before it took me, because
because you saw
it's
what happened to her and
very
you don't want to
painful.
go through that,
Yeah,
yeah.
because I saw what happened to her, and I saw how much in pain she was, and I was just
Suffered,
like, I don't want that.
yeah.
So basically, if they did pass it, I would take it.
Mhm.
So you guys do not have over there the euthanization option if you have terminal cancer?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Yeah, here I know it's not every
They'll
state,
put
but
they'll give you enough morphine to manage the pain, but they won't do that. It's
huh.
only if you went into a coma and you ended up having to be put on a life support machine that they would end up turning up. That's
I saw
Mm.
the only
I
time.
saw this show on it was actually it was a movie, and I saw it last year, and it was there was a lady in it that had cancer, and she had this pill that apparently if when she wanted to end her life and couldn't deal with the pain anymore, she could just take that pill and she'd pass away.
Mm.
But someone took her pills, stole her pills, and ended up giving her that pill to like someone else, and that person ended up dying.
Ooh.
And but because they didn't know it was I forgot exactly the medicine that it was, but they didn't know it was, a death pill. And so she
Cyanide?
it was I'm not quite sure what it was. It's it wasn't a real life story,
Mm.
it was, but it had Nicole Kidman in it and
Oh,
Dakota Fanning
oh,
and
yeah.
some other people in it, and it was a pretty depressing movie. It was on Netflix. I didn't really like it, to be honest. But
I think it
Mm.
was called
I forgot what it was called. But
I think it was
anyhow,
called
this
Before I Wake.
no, that's not it. And it was their son, Nicole Kidman, and her husband's one of the three sons was gay married, and the mother of the bride was the one that had cancer, and had those pills in her wallet, like in a little pill bag. But one of the
Mm.
brothers, one of the sons of the three sons, one of them was a pill popper, and he played pill roulette, where he would just grab pills from all over the place and just pop them, take them, not knowing what they were, just to see what kind of effects he'd have,
Jesus.
side
Oh my.
effects they'd have on him. So yeah, so he ends up stealing the death pill from the mother in law that had cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and but he doesn't end up taking it himself. He gives it to someone else who doesn't know about it, and they end up, passing away from it. So, it ended up being like the best friend of the bride,
Okay.
but it was still pretty messed up.
Yeah, that is messed up. Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think,
So
Lizzie? What's your opinion with people euthanizing themselves?
I think if they're in that much pain where they know there's nothing that can be done and it brings them peace, that's between them and whatever God they believe in.
Yeah.
Is I just want them to be happy with whatever decision. In fact, I did see a show on that, and I forgot. I think it was in another country where they actually put the medicine in like an IV bag, and they gave the
Uh-huh.
person the that little trigger thing that you can hit like you're in the hospital, and they
Yeah.
would tell the you just push that button when you're ready. So they would have their last meal, they would say their goodbyes, and then they would talk, and then they would hit that button, and it would take a few minutes to kick in, but they would start to slowly go to sleep, and then they would pass away. So they try to make it a peaceful process for.
What country was this in?
I can't remember.
Was it the
It was like a
U.S. or
document. No, it was
no?
overseas. It was like, yeah,
Overseas?
not the.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was a documentary of that.
Well, see, that's something I think should be allowed if someone is in that much suffering and pain.
Mhm.
I think they should be allowed to do that because we're not feeling their pain and suffering. So who are we to tell them you must live this miserable, painful life?
Right.
And if they're, especially if they're bedridden and they
Mhm.
can't get up and do anything, and then they get bed sores, and they can't even bathe or use the bathroom. They have to do everything in the bed.
Right.
I can see how that. I mean, that's not only terrible physically, but emotionally and mentally.
I think one of them too that didn't want the thing through the IV. They had a special type of chocolate they could eat, but it was almost like the size of a Hershey bar, and they
Uh
had
huh.
to eat the entire thing. So they would talk to the staff and eat this little chocolate bar thing.
Oh wow. Well, I love chocolate,
And
but my chocolate hasn't killed me though.
this is
It's a
good.
different kind of chocolate.
It's a different type of chocolate. Hmm. And they said usually like that last three but little squares at the bottom, people are gone before they finish
Before
that.
I finish it. Aw.
Hmm.
Well, this has been an interesting show. Thank you so much, Lizzie. Thank you so much, Dante. And thank you to our listeners. I'm going to give a shout out to Lab B stopping by, and to Maxie and to Lee. Thank you so much, guys, for your comments. We appreciate
Thank you,
them.
everybody. Yes,
Yes, thank you
And
very much for joining us.
next week we will have more serial killers.
yay!
Ooh. And we might have someone that's very well known,
Hmm. Hmm.
but I don't want to give it away. So
Oh, okay.
you have to tune in till next week. I know Lizzie knows who I'm talking about,
I
but
do. I do.
I guess the rest of you guys will have to tune in to find out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you so much, everybody. This has
And thank you
been
for all your comments.
this has been
We
fun
appreciate
in
them.
its serial killer kind of way.